Commander Elena Vasquez pressed her palm against the viewport, watching the derelict vessel tumble slowly through the void. The ship was ancient, its hull scarred by cosmic radiation and pitted with micrometeorite impacts. What troubled her most wasn't its condition. It was the faint energy signature still pulsing from within. "Scan complete, Commander," reported Lieutenant Chen from the sensor station. "The vessel's designation is Prometheus Dawn. According to the database, it was reported lost 7 years ago during the Kepler 442b expedition." Elena's blood chilled. Kepler 442b, the planet they'd nicknamed Hell's Garden. A world so hostile that it had claimed 3 previous expeditions before the Galactic Council declared it off-limits. Atmospheric pressure that could crush titanium, acid rain that dissolved spacecraft hulls, and indigenous life forms that seemed designed by nightmares. "Life signs?" she asked, though she dreaded the answer. Chen's fingers danced across his console. "Positive. 17 human life signs detected. They're in some kind of stasis." The bridge fell silent, except for the gentle hum of the Meridian's life support systems. Elena had served in the Deep Space Rescue Corps for 15 years, but she'd never encountered survivors from Kepler 442b. No one had ever returned from that world alive. "Commander," her science officer, Dr. Sarah Park, spoke up from her station. "I'm detecting unusual electromagnetic patterns emanating from the ship. The frequency is unsettling. It's almost as if the ship itself is trying to communicate." Elena made her decision. "Prepare a boarding party. Full hazmat protocols. I want to know how those people survived 7 years on the deadliest world in known space." 2 hours later, Elena led a team of 6 through the airlock connecting their ship to the Prometheus Dawn. Emergency lighting cast eerie shadows down the corridors, and their boots echoed hollowly in the artificial gravity. The air was breathable, but carried a strange metallic taste that made Elena's skin crawl. They found the survivors in the ship's medical bay, suspended in 17 crystalline pods that hummed with an energy Elena had never seen before. The people inside appeared unchanged from their mission photos. No signs of aging, injury, or the psychological trauma that should have resulted from years on Hell's Garden. "These aren't standard stasis pods," Dr. Park whispered, running her scanner over the nearest crystal formation. "The technology is completely alien. The energy readings are off the charts." Elena approached one of the pods and gasped. Inside was Captain Marcus Reed, the Prometheus Dawn's commanding officer. His eyes were open, staring directly at her with an intensity that made her step back. As she watched, his lips moved silently, forming words she couldn't hear through the crystal barrier. "Commander," Sergeant Torres called from across the room. "You need to see this." Elena joined him at a computer terminal that was somehow still functioning. The screen displayed the ship's final log entry, recorded just before they landed on Kepler 442b. Captain Reed's voice filled the room, day 312. "We've made an incredible discovery. The hostile life forms on this world aren't trying to kill us, they're trying to communicate. The atmospheric storms, the acid rain, even the creatures we thought were predators. It's all part of a planetary consciousness. It's been alone for millennia, and it just wants to understand us. To preserve us. We're going to make contact." The log ended abruptly. Dr. Park's scanner began beeping frantically. "Commander, I'm detecting massive energy buildup in the pods. Whatever's happening, it's accelerating." The crystals began to glow brighter, and Elena could hear a sound that seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere, a whisper that bypassed her ears and spoke directly to her mind. Images flashed before her eyes, a world not of death and destruction, but of alien beauty. Crystalline forests that sang in harmony with atmospheric winds. Creatures of living lightning that danced through acid clouds. a planet that had achieved perfect ecological balance, where every raindrop and every breath of wind was part of a greater consciousness. And then she understood. The humans hadn't been killed by Kepler 442b, they'd been chosen. The planetary consciousness had selected them as ambassadors, preserving them in these alien crystals, while it learned their language, their thoughts, their dreams. The whispers grew stronger, and Elena felt the consciousness reaching out to her, offering the same gift it had given the crew of the Prometheus Dawn: perfect preservation, eternal life, unity with a mind vast beyond human comprehension. "Commander," Torres grabbed her arm. "We need to go." "Now?" Elena shook her head, breaking free from the alien influence. Around her, the pods were cracking, hairline fractures spreading across their surfaces. The 17 figures inside began to move, their eyes opening wider, their mouths stretching in smiles that didn't look entirely human anymore. "Everyone out," Elena shouted. "Emergency evacuation protocols." They ran through the corridors as the ship's hull began to vibrate with harmonics that made their bones ache. Behind them, Elena could hear the pods shattering and footsteps, 17 sets of footsteps, following at a measured pace. They barely made it to the airlock before Elena ordered the emergency separation. As the Meridian pulled away from the ghost ship, she watched through the viewport as 17 figures stood at the Prometheus Dawn's observation deck, waving goodbye with perfect synchronization. The derelict ship turned slowly and began its journey back toward the inner systems, carrying its transformed crew and the gift of a lonely planet that had finally learned to speak to the stars. Elena knew that within months, maybe weeks, other ships would encounter the Prometheus Dawn. And each time, more humans would hear the whispers. More would choose to join the growing harmony between two species that had finally found each other in the vast loneliness of space. She turned away from the viewport, wondering if she'd made the right choice in leaving. The whispers still echoed in her mind, beautiful and terrifying, promising wonders beyond imagination.